Ooh, welcome back to Blue Rush, our New York Giants podcast from the New York Post. Happy Victory Monday, everyone. This episode of Blue Rush is presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers. Be iconic. Visit your Cadillac showroom today. Those highlights courtesy of NBC. You can't spell prime time without prime tips. It's going to be renamed in honor of Kayvon Thibodeaux. It's Jake Brown here alongside BL, Brandon London, and he's on his way home. He won't be with us, Paul Schwartz, but of course, the two-time Giants Super Bowl champion, Lawrence Tynes, for a little crossover edition. It's England meets Scotland, Lawrence. We bring over a couple of guys from the Talkin Giants podcast. It's Bobby Skinner and Justin Penik. Guys, welcome to a crossover show here. We're happy to have you, and especially after a victory over the Commanders.
Yeah, when we heard that we were doing this, I was like, all right, I really want to go on after a win, and not be talking about Kafka this and DJ this and the defense and Wink Martindale that got to win no matter how bad the talent on the roster is. So I'm glad to come on and talk with you guys after a win.
That is the voice of Bobby, by the way. Justin, welcome aboard.
Fellas, thanks for having us on. Definitely excited to be here after a primetime win. And man, a December divisional Sunday night football game on the back of a defense, a pass rush, a long 18-play, 98-yard, 8.5-minute drive. And, they're, now, according to the nerds, there's like a 90% chance we're going to the playoffs. Lawrence, I feel like we're back watching these 2007 Giants, kind of clinch a playoff spot here. So happy to be here. Let's rock and roll and let's do it.
Yeah, no, we certainly appreciate you guys coming on. I think Collinsworth and Tirico are still campaigning for a PI. Holy cow, they would not let that go last night. The last 10 minutes, I've never seen a production spend 10 minutes. Literally, I haven't watched a lot of football. I've never seen anybody campaign against a win for one team over a call in the end zone. But man, they played their tails off. They won their third game this year with under 300 yards. It's nuts. I don't know how they're doing it.
Collinsworth and Tirico were doing their job as part of the media. That's the media. You got to create some sort of stir, get the people talking on a Monday. Justin, Bobby, thanks for you guys joining us when Jake Brown reached out in the group chat and was like, we got the Talkin Giants guys coming on. I was like, Giants players, when you see the big black van pull up on you, know it's not a Law and Order episode. You're not going to get kidnapped. You're going to get some great content. You guys do a great job. Bobby, you do a great job as well when you'll break down every one of Daniel Jones' throws. You'll break down every one of Kayvon Thibodeaux's pass rushes and all. So you guys are a reason. You guys do a great job when it comes to the content. So we're ready. Blue Rush, Talkin Giants, we're ready to make some fire content today as well, man. So thanks for joining the show.
Love it. Yeah, a lot of Giants fans excited to see a little crossover action. That you guys drop your shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, three a week times. We don't have that in our system, but we got Mondays and Thursdays. And let's start with, the flag is obviously big, but we got to start with Kayvon because he put together a historic performance. He talked about primetime likes him. It's not everyone likes primetime. Primetime likes him. He talked a big game. He lived up to a big game. He had you heard in the montage, the quote about the family, and everyone, says they're a family, but this team is actually a family. We'll kick it off with you, Lawrence. 12 tackles, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, the forced fumble recovery, touchdown. He did everything the Giants needed, and that touchdown ended up being the difference in this one.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys. I mean, I know he's not Defensive Rookie of the Year, but because he doesn't have a ton of numbers, but he has played outstanding football all year. And it's, for me, it's those chase down plays, right? You saw him get beat on the zone read and then make the play backside. I mean, I think as a coach and teammate of his, those are the things you can appreciate about Kayvon. The sacks will come, the numbers will come. He's disruptive, but you can tell he is built for prime time. Just go watch his post-game interview. He is a walking quote. He's fun to listen to. He controls the narrative in the press conference, which is rare. If you watch Daniel Jones's press conference post-game, his first one ever on primetime, he looked nervous. Like Daniel didn't know really how to act because he's never done it. But Kayvon Thibodeaux is just going to keep ascending. And as he goes, his team will go. So to start us off with that play early in the game, I mean, what more can you ask for? He's a great player.
Yeah, I like the point about the chase down plays because that was a knock on him. Coming out of Oregon, it's like, oh, he's not going to, chase a play from the backside, which I didn't really see when I watched him. And then like the sack, the forced fumble, that's essentially the difference between winning and losing. But also that stopping Taylor Heineke on that scramble late in the game at the goal, literally the difference of winning and losing. And at the time, you don't think much of it because you think they're going to pound it in and score. They get that penalty. Like, that's the difference between winning and losing. Their run defense was horrible all game, unless it was Kayvon Thibodeaux getting a tackle for a loss, which he had 3 of. And then, like you mentioned, the chase down plays, like he was disruptive all night. And you mentioned Primetime. This was his best game. His second best game was the Cowboys Monday Night Football game, where he had like 5 QB hits and was just working Tyler Smith the entire game.
Yeah, and something that I heard from Saquon Barkley after the game in his post-game presser, because it was one of those cool moments where, if you win and, somebody kind of, walks up to your locker, you get some interaction between some players. And something that Saquon said is that, what impressed him is that Kayvon actually like rallied some of the players, might have been most of the players like before the game, and kind of got these guys ready to rock and roll. Divisional games, Sunday Night Football. So obviously Kayvon took over. We saw why we took number five overall. And that was really, really awesome to see. And it's awesome to see as Giants fans, everybody else can see it too, not just us every once in a while too.
Yeah, I mean, he just set his bar even higher in terms of his star power being here in New York. He was making plays throughout the season, causing holds. Yeah, he didn't have the numbers, but he has shown that he could be a star in New York. What he put on tape yesterday shows that he could be a legend in New York. And I'm not trying to crown him king already, but we just saw that sample size of what he did in a prime time moment. That's Strahan ability right there. That's Olsey type star power, type ability right there. And if you're going to talk in New York, you're going to have to be able to walk and back it up. And that's exactly what he did yesterday. We remember after the Lions game, we were trying to compare him to Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson had like 2-3 interceptions by that time. He picked Daniel Jones off. Well, he had one of those type games yesterday. And not only on the field, but just with his charisma and his personality, it all went together. This kid's going to be a star. It has potentially could be a legend here in New York City if he keeps playing the way that he does.
Yeah, I don't think it's too early to say that, Lawrence. I mean, he walked the walk, he talked the walk. He was tweeting about it. He said, I want to be like Mike after the game when Strahan tweeted about him, which I love. Great movie. Listen, he loves primetime. And if the Giants could have primetime games in the playoffs with this guy, and you start thinking about the players they might get back, maybe they go on a special run here with him playing at his highest level.
Real quick to follow up on that, Jake, is the thing I think Kayvon's brought the most is an attitude, right? A swagger. Because if you think of Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, they're nice guys. They have zero swag. They have zero mouth off, zero. That Jihad Ward too, let's not underestimate him. I love that guy. I love him. I know he's not a premier player, but the way he plays football, him and Kayvon have brought something to this team that was actually missing on that defensive line, because Azeez is a quiet guy too. So you got to have a loudmouth, and that's okay.
Lawrence, I was talking with your guy Tollefson in the after the draft, and he's like, "Who are like the dogs on this team who are like gonna like get this guys going?" And I said Jihad Ward, but I was kind of like, "Well, he's not that good." And he's like, he's like, "I need to talk to Wink because like Kayvon's kind of got to be that guy because like you said, there's no just like take your heart from you type players on this team, and it seems like Kayvon's ascending towards that."
You got to have complement each other. Yeah. And they complement each other because Kayvon, he'll get it done. Kayvon's one of the dudes who's like, yo, off that man for me. You know what I mean? Like, the pretty boy got the mink coat on, but Jihad is I'm going to collect the money. Yo, you owe Kayvon, you owe the defense 100. I'm here to collect. He seems like that bully. And they complement each other, and you're going to need that for this run. Justin, I see you shaking your head, my man.
Yeah, I mean, and also just in general, I got this feeling, you sit in Sunday Night Football, you have a lot of hours to think about a path to victory. You got a lot of hours for the nerves to kind of, spew up in you. And I just got this feeling that thinking back to the 2007 Eagles game, I got this feeling thinking back to that 2010 Bears game where they had like 9 sacks in the first half. And I'm like, the pass rush needs to make a memory tonight. Maybe they're not going to put up double-digit sacks like they did in those 2 games on Sunday Night Football, but the pass rush needs to make a memory tonight. And they, the strength of this team right now, Saquon's been on and off towards the second half of the season, basically since the Texans game has kind of been off. Daniel Jones, we know limitations with the O-line and the wide receivers and things like that. But the strength of this team, especially with Adoree Jackson and Xavier McKinney out, it has been the emergence of this front 4 over the last few weeks. And you're thinking to yourself, man, the path to victory for this Giants team has to be that pass rush has to show up, make some memories. They had 3 sacks, but each of those 3 sacks were huge and pivotal into the Giants' path to victory. If 2 of those sacks, they basically forced turnovers for the Giants. So it was awesome to see the Giants pass rush show up on, Sunday Night Football again.
The defense is 100% predicated on the pass rush with Adoree and McKinney out right now. Like when the teams hand the ball off versus the Giants, it's unreal success. Like their running backs had 110 yards on 6.5 yards a pop.
That's crazy.
That wide receiver trio was averaging 17 yards per catch. They had 13 catches on 17 targets, 220 yards. I'm going through my notes. So it's basically like pass rush wins or bust for this defense right now, but they're just creating enough negative plays to get off the field and then create turnovers with the 2 fumbles.
It's crazy. If you went and looked at the game book, you have no idea how this team wins, obviously outside of the 2 turnovers. Yeah. But the run game, we talked about it on our pregame show, Brandon. They gave up, 160 last night, 159? I mean, that's about what they're averaging. It blows your mind. When I was playing, guys, that was an automatic L. You gave up 150, 160 yards, you lost the game. But they somehow are finding ways to win 8 games while giving up 120, 130, 140 yards a game. It's wild. Let me ask you this, though. Maybe you guys understand it more. I cannot figure out, maybe outside of linebacker, why with our D-line, right? Dexter, Leonard, Kayvon obviously showed up last night. Azeez is coming back to the fold. But with Dexter and Leonard, why are we so bad against the run?
Linebacker's so bad, dude. Like, so Jalen Smith, and to me, him playing, like when he was playing not the Mike linebacker, like he could make a play here and there. He's just getting bullied out there, and he shouldn't be in that role, so I kind of feel for him. But, like, he is getting bullied down in, down out. And then when they are in those, like, 3D lineman sets, you'll have Dex at the nose. They'll just run to the opposite side of Leonard Williams, and then you have, like, guys like Ryder Anderson, who's a good pass rush, like a solid rotational pass rusher.
Henry Mondeau.
He's a UDFA from the rookie minicamp. Like, he gets bullied down, and they just kind of run at those. Like, I've never seen a linebacker just kind of get bullied and be out of place like Jalen Smith. Like, they desperately need a Mike linebacker. You guys think
Landon will get some more burn later in the season? I mean, he was instinctive. He was reactionary last night. He didn't think. But again, he's undersized. You don't want him in there all the time. But
yeah, and it's like McFadden can make some good plays here and there too from that spot. Like, I think if McFadden played again next to like Blake Martinez, 2020 Blake Martinez, there'd be more appreciation for him. Yeah. Kind of like there was more appreciation for Tay Crowder. Honestly, I think they should play Tay Crowder. Like, and I know that
too.
And that's not some like, oh, he's going to fix the defense, but I do think it'd be better than Jalen Smith. Still bad, but better than Jalen Smith at that spot.
I think it's hard to say. I think it just is what it is at this point. That's just what the Giants defense is. You know, you're not going to change anything significantly at this point. Their rush defense or their run defense is poor. Let's just be honest. You could put Landon there. You could put Jalen Smith there. You could put Tay Crowder there. We're talking to O'Shane Zimenez, and he's talking about playing on the other side of the football. Rarely do we see tackles for loss when it comes to our rush defense coming from a linebacker shooting a gap, being right, making a tackle for a loss. It's all the ends that are crashing down, making plays on most of those run plays. So at this point, it is what it is, and they're just going to have to find a way to be better. I don't think they're going to be great, because when you get down to a 2nd and 4, you get down to the 2nd and 5, you take Wink Martindale, you take him out of the game, because you can't blitz those downs. You can't really blitz or be aggressive on 2nd and 3s. Now, 2nd and 8 and 9, oh, absolutely. I'm gonna wink the mess out of you on Madden. I'm gonna blitz the mess out of you in the 2nd 8 and plus. But they have to find a way, whether who it is at that middle backer position, they have to find a way to be better so Wink can call the type of game that he wants to call.
And that's why like having it predicate on the pass rush is actually working. Now against the Eagles blew him out, but I thought Wink was fine in that game. It's like there was nothing else Wink could have done in that game.
Talented.
Maybe a thing here and there. But it's
Right.
like you said, Brandon, getting them into those third and longs. Like, hey, like we may suck against the run, but we're going to create negative plays and we're going to get off the field.
Yep.
And like sacks are drive. That's why, people talk about coverage versus pass rush. I think on a down in, down out basis, coverage is more important. But pass rush ends drives. And that's why every year when it comes down to the conference championships and the Super Bowls, and it goes back to, when you were kicking times, like pass rush ends drives versus great offenses. And that's what the Giants have done.
It's why the Bills went out and signed Von Miller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They know they can't stop obviously Patrick Mahomes and some of these guys in the AFC. So
yeah, and guys, you want to talk about the offense. Saquon Barkley ran with authority on that final drive. Lawrence, you talked about him. He's maybe being hurt the last few weeks. He finally showed up when it mattered most, and God, did they need it? And they needed the right leg of the Scotsman who came up with the big 50-yarder to seal the deal. But Lawrence finally
he had a bunch of special teams was huge. And Jamie Gillen had a really nice game. If we're going to pound on him when he sucks, Jamie Gillen had a nice game. And I'm telling you why you need a big, strong man to punt in that part of the country. Jamie Gillen's only 25. I'm not advocating to give him a 5-year deal, but a 1-year deal, guys, bringing some competition for him. He hits absolute tanks. And that punt out of the end zone, and you've got the other Scotsman hitting field goals like he does. We can talk about the kickoff coverage. That's horse. That cannot happen in that situation. Cannot happen in that situation. And I talked about this with some of the good special teams players playing a lot of defensive snaps. It's hurting our special teams, or they're either on them, or they're tired, or they're gassed and they're covering kicks. And I'll have to look at that unit and see who's on it, but that can't happen in that situation. Richie had a nice punt return earlier in the game, so it was a little bit of give and take on special teams, but you have to tip your cap to Graham Gano. Those 2 kicks he made, the drives to get down there were methodical and took time off the clock. The one thing I'll say about Saquon real quick, though, is, guys, I just have no idea how he can average 1.9 yards per carry in the first half. I just don't get that. I don't understand it. And he did a lot of his damage with Ben Bredeson in a guard, not Nick Gates. Nick Gates is a great story, guys. He's not a left guard. He's a center.
No, he needs to play center. Like he's a center. He's a center.
I picture Gates like Kelsey. You can pull him, you can move him. He's athletic. But, man, when you put him at guard, it's just a different animal. They were doing all the damage with Bredeson in there. And I think Bredeson's obviously going down the stretch is going to be a big get back for us.
No, they need to pull the plug on Felicia. I know that's their guy. They brought him in to be the center, and they didn't expect Gates to. Gates didn't even expect to be back. This year.
I agree.
We saw him play center versus the Cowboys. That's a good game. That's where you see like his upper body strength, where he's able to torque nose tackles and stuff and play with angles. Put him at center. Bredesen like pass blocking numbers are like top 10 efficiency for guards, whial Azudu and Galinsky are like bottom 10.
It felt different for Daniel, even though we didn't take shots, but it just, after that long drive, there was people in his face every snap. And I think, we were getting beat on the right side. But Evan Neal settled down. He had a slow start, but he played better as the game went on. And we were able to get some throws off, but it didn't seem like Daniel was under that much duress in the second half.
I want to ask you guys, so going forward, so we had the sample size, 2 games against the Commanders, 4 first-rounders on that offensive line. After watching the first game, what we give up? 4 sacks, 5 sacks, 4 or 5. Now watching this game, do you feel more confident in the Giants' offensive line, specifically the interior offensive line walking out of that game? Tynes, you shook your head. No,
I think it was just a different game plan, right? It was a completely different game plan where they were getting the ball out quicker. But I do like the offensive line much, much better with Bredeson in there. And I hate that Azudu is out because I thought we ran well with him, and I thought he was a good young player. And I think Evan Neal just settled down a little bit. Evan Neal's going to struggle with speed, always. He's flat-footed. He doesn't move his feet well. He will get better, though. Guys, we were saying the same things about Andrew Thomas.
Neal's got to gain confidence. There's times where he plays without, and that happens with offense. Like Thomas his rookie year, like confidence is such a huge part of the game.
5-star, never been beat, went to Alabama. So
there's times where the pass rushers are getting off the ball before Neal does. Like that's the things that like that can just help him not have some of those disaster plays is like there's times where he's just slow off the ball. You know, that's stuff we saw in camp. Like I guess he's got to get down with the snap count a little better.
Yeah.
But you see good things. But when you just got to get him playing with some confidence because like you said, I mean, he was picked 7th overall for a reason. Like, he has all the ability in the world.
He'll be fine.
He's not some, you know, there's times where a guy could be picked top 10 is like he's just kind of lazy, you know, for Giants fans who will reference Flowers. Neal's not that guy. From everything we hear, it's like he's like hard working, dedicated to his craft. He's just kind of got to get through it. That's why missing those games sucked so much. Not because we necessarily needed him at right tackle. It was just losing that development.
When you say he's laid off the ball on the snap count, as from a receiver standpoint, from the pass game standpoint, I'm looking at it like we should help him out. We should go on 2 a little bit. We should have some hard counts. But as a Kafka, do they not trust the offense enough for that? Because let's say you had some nice little run. Now you're in a 2nd and 5. Someone jumps offside off of the hard count. Now we're back at a 2nd.
Which
and
Neal
10.
did
So
yesterday too.
Yeah,
he had a false start.
So I'm wondering like if the offense could help them out with the count, the snap count, but at the same time, does he not have that confidence, or are they worried that can actually hinder the offense rather than help the offense in that sense? But that's pretty interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, guys, as we look ahead here to the Giants, 8-5-1 right now ahead of the Commanders. I mean, the nerds are saying it, Justin. You mentioned it. 90%, I guess, is the number. Is this a lock right now that Big Blue's going to the playoffs?
Has to be. I mean, has to be.
Ooh.
Win us one game and make us feel comfortable.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, because
the games is scary to me. I said this to my wife last night watching the game. I said, the Colts game scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, because that's the game we got to win. That's the game that scares you.
And it's also the way this team could lay an egg. You know, it's like,
I just hope they play Ryan in that game because I know Wink will have his way.
Oh my gosh,
with Matt Ryan in that game, where Ellinger like Heineke can, you know, move around a little bit.
The Vikings game outside of the rest issue, right? It's a Saturday. I think we play Saturday, right? So it's coming up quick.
Yep.
The Vikings had a lot of rest. They did play a lot of snaps in the overtime. I like this Giants team on the road. I don't know what it is they do on the road, or, you know, it'll be kind of a premier national televised game again for Kayvon Thibodeaux and those guys. So I think they'll rise up. There's nothing like going on the road, you know, like Tom used to say, when you're inconvenienced, right? Christmas Eve. Who the hell wants to be playing on the road on Christmas Eve? And you kind of use that as fuel. And, you know, I like our defense against Kirk Cousins.
I certainly hope that Adoree Jackson is back to help out with Justin Jefferson. That's my one ask.
Maybe what if you got both of them back, man? What a shot in the arm that would be.
Brandon, when is Xavier getting back? You're the guy who's in the building all the time. I have no clue when he's coming.
Paul Schwartz doesn't even know.
They're being tight-lipped with it. I'm wondering if he will be able to come back and just play with some sort of club.
Put the damn club on. Put the
club on. It's like a car. Put the club on. You know
Are we being too aggressive? Put the goddamn club on. Excuse my language. I mean, your fingers are broke. The pins are out. You're not going to hurt it anymore.
You're not going to hurt it. I mean, I feel the same way. I feel the same way, Tynes. It's one of those moments where you kind of put yourself in this position. So you're going to have to go above and beyond the rehab schedule. You're going to have to come back a lot faster to get captured, to get back into the good graces of Giants fans. Obviously, we're still going to love Xavier McKinney regardless, but imagine if he comes back with a club, makes some plays down the stretch. And Justin, I'm glad you said Adoree Jackson could help against Justin Jefferson, because coming back from that knee and asking him to follow Justin Jefferson around. But Tynes, I feel you. I'm not even thinking about the Colts right now. I think this Giants team, after this primetime win, can go into Minnesota and go and beat the Vikings. I feel as though that can happen. That win will count as 2 in terms of psyche, in terms of mojo. And now you go into that Colts game like, let's beat up on these guys.
Yeah, then we can lose to the Colts after we beat the Vikings. That would be great.
Just of course.
No. Yeah, it's basically winning in. I mean, they win one more, it's a lock. So whether it happens against the Vikings or the Colts, Xavier McKinney too, he said it's a matter of time when he gets back. I mean, Brandon, I guess you don't know. I mean, can they get him back next week?
I mean, we're hoping. We're hoping. You need some help on that back end. We're talking about how I would rather pass rushers have a strong pass rush than coverage, than paying money for DBs and all. But it's another thing when it comes to football, they complement each other. As a receiver, I could cook a DB, but if they've got hands in the face, I mean, going back to the Jaguars game, Trevor Lawrence couldn't get the ball. Trevor Lawrence was making inaccurate throws because he had pressure in his face. But if you got a guy like Kirk Cousins or even Matt Ryan, you got a guy that could sit back there and pat the ball, like get 7-on-7. He's going to deliver strikes against coverage. So Adore needs to come back and Xavier McKinney to help out over the top. But it is what it is. And Nick McLeod, Jason Penik, those guys, you've been playing well. But now, like Jahal Ward said the other day, there's certain guys that are going to have to step up, whether it be rookies, undrafted guys. You're going to have to step up and play as not only a starter, but play as a star as well.
Yeah. I like Penik. I really do. I like his length. I like his speed. He had great coverage. That was just an unbelievable play that Dotson made last night. I mean, he's one-on-one with that guy, a safety one-on-one with that guy down the field, and he's still, it's just a great play by him. But I like Penik. It's kind of a double-edged sword. A lot of these guys are getting a lot of reps. McLeod obviously should have made that pick and ended that game far sooner, save us all these heart attacks. But those young guys are competing. They're getting a lot of reps. And we talked about it on the pregame show, Brandon. These guys have no excuses. They've played a lot of football. They're not the day one starters, but they certainly have played a lot of football, and they've played okay. I mean, they have not really hurt us. You cannot say the secondary outside of the Philly game really got abused. So they've done their job. But to get Xavier McKinney and Adore back, guys, that would be crazy good.
Adore is the most important player, like on the
1,000%.
Like not the best player, but he's the most important player on the defense. And we said it coming into the year, like he's the one player on defense. You lose him, and it makes you look it makes it bleak,
Punt
which
return.
is why it's even crazier that he was at punt return with his injury history. He misses games every year.
It's the dumbest decision Brett Daboll's made all season.
Oh yeah, that's one where it's like, after a game, if we lose, it's like the play calling. Everyone just kind of uses all these buzzwords. That's the one decision where every fan has the right to be like, no, we were right, you were wrong. Putting Adore back there was crazy.
But the Seahawks got Tyler Lockett. He's a starter. He's their punt returner. Tyler Lockett.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's not the most important player on the defense, and I don't think he has the injury. Like Adore misses games every single year.
And also you got to think about it too. And Brandon, you let me know if I'm wrong. The hits that you're taking as a wide receiver on a consistent basis, it could compare to the hits that you take on special teams as a ball carrier. You're not taking those hits as a punt returner consistently like you're taking as a defensive back. So I also think those two things are kind of different too. I mean, I get it from the standpoint of these guys are football players. They got to go out and, kind of do it sometimes, but just considering how important Adore is, and I don't want to, just totally maybe rehash this, but I mean, let me know if I'm wrong there, because that was also a thought that ran through my head too about taking hits.
Shoot, as a receiver, I'd rather get hit than kind of come up and deliver some of the blows sometimes. But I see what you said. Our body is conditioned for it. Tyler Lockett knows when to get down in terms of not taking a big hit on special teams. So I think I just chalk that up. I'm going to chalk it up as one of those things where it's like, all right, he tried to find a way to be aggressive. It backfired. It backfired big. But now you're in Ronnie James's ear, like, hey, when can we get him back? We need him back, because if you're Brian Daboll, you're trying to save face when it comes to that, and getting him back at the proper time. If he comes back, made some plays down this stretch, no one's going to even think about him getting hurt and being back there punt returning. But if you see him back there at any point in time, Giants fans going to let him know. You're going to let him know. So it's just one of those things where,
hey, Brandon,
hope he comes back and makes plays.
Make sure you get our leading receiver's first name right. His name is Richie, not Ronnie. Okay. You called him Ronnie James.
No, I said Ronnie Barnes.
I thought you said Ronnie James.
I said Ronnie James. I said Ronnie James.
Rick James.
Oh man,
that's Ring of Honor. It's Ring of Honor member Ronnie Barnes, right? Dr. Ronnie Barnes. Excuse me.
Ronnie Barnes ran into absolute legend. I can't believe he's still there.
He looks fantastic. I don't even know how old.
That's the New York Giants employee story. I can't believe he's still there. Until this year.
Unreal. That has been. Yeah.
Was it the goatee that saved the season? Now Brian Daboll looked
like bad luck. Can we call that
star.
That was
he's got to if he's got to the goatee. I like the goatee, but he's got to lose like 50, and I'm not taking shots. But you got to lose like 50 to rock the goatee.
He looked like a Mr. Potato Head.
But now that they won on primetime, he has to keep it until then.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, he's not. He had to switch something up, right? The beard was, the goatee was not. Maybe it just needs a little more growth in it. I can't talk. I'm not a big facial.
Maybe get it down to like here, and then it's like, all right, it's a real goatee. But he needs.
I'm giving him props for rocking the hoodie. We had New York, you had Hoodie Mello. Now we got Hoodie Daboll.
He kind of kept the goatee incognito last night because he had this Darth Vader look about him.
I think he was trying to cover it on purpose. Yeah, it looked clear.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm sure his wife said, "What the is that?"
Oh, so you think the barber messed him up and he kept the hoodie on? Like,
I think he does this. I think he does this every year because
he did it in Buffalo.
Yeah, he did it in Buffalo. I think it's this time of year.
He's superstitious, right? Don't you agree?
1,000%. Yeah, maybe it's this time of year where maybe he did it one year and a team had success. Maybe he did it for Alabama in like 2017. They won a national championship, whatever, and then he just did it. He did it every year.
Oh, we're gonna have to go back and find our.
We will have to find. We can do this. The power of the internet.
Yeah, no kidding.
As a chubby bald guy, I gotta have the beard because then it doesn't look it. It shows a little more face fat. When you shave it all, you're a fetus, you're a newborn baby, you're the boss baby.
Geez.
So you gotta keep the hair. So, but listen, if they win, let's just keep rocking it. Let's just do it every week.
Keep rocking it.
All right, so we're all in agreement. Playoffs, lock, done, go, Lawrence.
Yeah, no question. Yep, just keep it simple.
Justin.
Yes, I am very, very excited. We deserve this, by the way. Like 100%, we deserve it for the expectations that we had heading into this year, and also the adversity that this team has had to face this year anyway, offensively and defensively in certain spots. We deserve the playoffs, and we're going.
Bobby?
Have to. It's a must at this point. This game was the get you in the playoffs game. You won it. Don't choke it now.
BL?
And choke, gotta go to the playoffs. Absolutely, because it will hurt even more. This offseason would really suck if they don't make it, especially with the expectations and how you got everybody all excited at the beginning of the year only to fight back. You have to make it to the playoffs, and it starts by putting Kirk Cousins on his back on Saturday.
On Christmas Eve, really in the holiday spirit on Christmas Eve, putting Kirk Cousins on his back. Well, we saw a shirtless locker room Sterling Shepard. What a video. I can't stop watching. And, I can't say most of us might not know the song that was playing on Isaiah Hodgins' Instagram story. I Spotified it right after. I just typed it in, Take Over Your Trap, and it's called Take Over Your Trap by Bankroll Fresh. Lawrence, do you have any Bankroll Fresh in your Spotify?
No Bankroll Fresh at all. But, man, Sterling Shepard, real quick, I know we talk about him. How important is he to this team? I know he doesn't play. But if you watch the juice he keeps bringing, you see him on every sideline. He's always hyping the guys up. He's wearing those really cool T-shirts. I've never really met Sterling Shepard, but just from afar and what I know about him, I don't think you can underestimate what he's bringing to this team without playing. Just brings some juice, right? I mean, I love that guy. I just wish he could have stayed healthy.
He carries an infectious energy. Like even before the game, during pregame warmups, he's walking by everybody, slapping hands. He's always bouncing around. That's just that type of energy because
he'll be a coach. He's going to be a great coach.
Absolutely. They respect him in the locker room, and he knows the standard. He knows what it means. He's the longest tenured Giant. He knows what it means. He's talked to all types of old school Giants. He knows what it means when you put on blue and you put on that helmet. So he's kind of keeping that legacy going. But absolutely, he's going to be Giants coach and receivers coach one day. I believe offensive coordinator. With what he knows and the amount of football that this guy brings in each year.
Brandon, was this the dance, the walk in your trap, take over your trap? He was doing one of
these.
What is it?
And for those of you who don't know what our viewers or listeners who don't know what walk in your trap and take over your trap, I'm coming in. I'm taking over your lunch money. I'm coming in your neighborhood. And I'm putting up my type of Christmas lights. This is my neighborhood. I'm paying the HOA fees now. They walked into FedEx Field and took over their trap, their stadium.
We need all the Blue Rush listeners with their families, doing videos of taking over the trap.
Yeah, I'm about to go to my bowling league on Wednesday.
And the Talkin Giants. Yeah, so make sure you guys do it there with some bowling balls and some pins.
That's a guarantee that Justin will have a video out of doing that by 100%. Tuesday.
I will walk into my bowling league and I will do that dance 100%.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Right. You know what?
The TikTok challenge. Here it is.
I got a starter jacket from Carl Banks's collection. Whoever we deem is the winner, I'm giving that up.
There we go.
I'm giving that up right there.
Question is, did you have to pay for that starter jacket, or did he compliment you?
I paid for it. I paid for it at the Giants store.
Carl Banks, so damn cheap. Just I'll put that out there. He is so cheap. He won't give you anything.
I wanted to pay for it. Because
I know he doesn't listen to our show, but he also thinks Jalen Smith's an All-Pro. By the way,
that's propaganda against Tay Crowder.
Absolutely propaganda. Jalen Smith was great. He looks lost at times. I know. No,
you can see me and Lawrence have a way of making Brandon London uncomfortable when we start taking shots at people.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I played there a long time. I give zero shits.
That's what I like about you. Is there?
Yeah, I don't care. Like that is pure propaganda, and Carl Banks is number one behind it. He's not that good.
BL, your thoughts?
We got to get him on the show. We got to get he and Carl.
Has Carl been on? We've had Carl on, no?
Carl and LT.
We had him on Shannon. I think he was on year one when Jimmy Fallon was the host. I don't know if he's been on with you. Lawrence.
Oh, he hasn't been on with us.
Carl is a great way of gauging how the coaches feel about a player, because you started seeing Carl being like, Tony, you can't even rely on him. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, Tony's gone, and then Tony was gone. So, and then
he did. By the way, what did he play? 5 snaps yesterday again for the Chiefs? Like I saw him do a punt return, and like what a Joe Shane fleeced him.
I'm just glad he was active. Good for Tony.
Yeah,
we're moving up in the world, man.
In Chiefs country, trying to get off his block list.
Yeah,
I still love Tony. I feel for the guy because he's always hurt. Like if he was healthy, he'd be a star player in the NFL. It's just he's always I know he has other issues and stuff, but I feel bad for him because it's like with all of that distraction and stuff, he's still a great player if healthy. He's just the most unhealthy player I've ever seen. And it's not just big injuries. It's a little injury every other week. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
But what's his rap name again?
Young Joker. Come on,
Joker.
Man. I have a Young Joker shirt somewhere around here too.
Young Joker couldn't write "Take Over Your Trap" though, like Bankroll Fresh. I don't know if Young Joker's got the.
He did give us the media some clowns line though, which is iconic.
Hey, when he said you want $1, that was so good.
Oh, I would look last year when the team sucked. The only thing I looked forward to was watching Andrew Thomas play, and then Friday Kadarius Toney press conferences.
Yeah. Hey, he was funny, man. He hated the media, by the way.
Well, the Giants walked over and took over the Commanders' trap. BL's laughing at it was like the Urban Dictionary.
Are we all doing this?
Definition.
Is that what it is?
Let's all do it. This will be
Take over your trap. Yeah, we look so ridiculous.
We need that clip. That's got to go on social media.
Yeah, that's a gift. That's a gift for Twitter right there.
And Andrew, turn your camera on and join us, man.
Yeah, let's get a 6-pack of walkover. He said, "No, I'm good." Hearts does not want the internet shaming.
Is Hearts in bed with like a tray table and coffee and eggs or something? I mean, what is he?
Well, I think it's the edit. It's a tougher edit with the different boxes. He's in bed with little waffles right now, enjoying the show. Well, Talkin Giants, guys, talk about your show quick. We'll close out with this. Justin Penik, Bobby Skinner, follow him on Twitter. Talkin Giants, John Boy Media. Tell us about your show and why Blue Rush listeners should listen if they don't already. I'm sure they do.
We try to be the Giants podcast for every fan, whether you're a homer or you hate the team. We try and just give you one fair analysis and just back up what we say, whether it's doing the film stuff on YouTube or social media. Like we will tear the team down after a loss if they deserve it. On Wednesday mailbags, we'll tell us what the film said, and then Friday we'll get you hyped up for the game. So we have fun doing it, and was glad to finally do a crossover with you guys. So we got to get you. We don't do interviews in season, so we got to get you guys on for the off season, which you guys, it's been a long time coming.
Okay.
And then Brandon, I would love to see you at an L16 tailgate. January 1st. What are you doing New Year's Day? Come hang out with us for a little bit. You're a man with like 17,000 different jobs, so I'm sure you're very busy on game days, but we'd love to see you again.
If I get to take a shot with you, absolutely, I'm there.
Let's
Don't threaten me with a good time.
You got the pork belly, the burnt ends going on. What's cooking at the tailgate there?
Well, so we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we're hopefully going to get some of these catered next year for almost every single game. So we're excited about our L16 tailgate and how it's evolving as the years are going on.
And that's when I'll bring the jacket then, and we'll give it away to the winner.
Wow.
I'll bring the jacket January 1st.
Sounds good.
All right.
The paid jacket from Carl Banks that was paid for, Lawrence.
I'll be at the playoff game, wherever it is, San Francisco, Tampa, wherever the hell.
Let's do a trip. Let's do a Blue Rush playoff trip.
I'm gonna hit Robbie Gold up for tickets if it's in.
I know Bobby's hoping it's in Tampa, right? Because
if we're gonna do a playoff watch party in New York, if it's in Tampa, I'm literally gonna fly away from Florida, from the game for the playoff game. But one of the events we have, one of the places we have has a pool, and it's gonna be like 0 degrees. I'm gonna jump in it if we win. So. Very excited for that.
Well, what's the matchup right now? They would play
49ers.
Good luck.
They're not going to play the Bucs anyways. It'd be taking an all-time choke job by the Cowboys and the Giants to go like 2-1.
But think about this, guys. I give Wink's defense a swinging chance against Purdy.
Why not?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because he hasn't seen. These defensive coordinators are just now starting to gather information on this kid. And I get Kyle Shanahan's unbelievable, but playoff pressure, a little bit of that, and then maybe an Adoree, Xavier, fully loaded defense. I mean, that could be a problem.
The only thing is I've seen Kyle Shanahan throw the ball 8 times in a playoff game, and I could see him playing our defense and be like, we're just not going to throw the ball no matter what.
Right.
It's a lock. San Fran or Minnesota. You're either getting a rematch in Minnesota or you're going
Minnesota
to San Fran.
would be great.
Yeah, we want Minnesota.
So you'd rather play Minnesota than San Fran?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a 1-hour flight for me.
Yeah. I think besides quarterback, San Fran's the best roster on the in the NFC right now.
Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
What's the temperatures in San Fran in January?
But listen, the most importantly is just get in, taste it, smell it, feel it, and move on. No expectations, right? If they win one, great. If they don't,
get in, taste it, smell it, feel it. Blue Rush 2022.
I like that. Taste it, smell it, feel it. It's like the non-COVID branding. Taste it, smell it, feel it. And if you want to listen to it, Talkin Giants at Talkin Giants on Twitter, at Bobby Skinner _ at Justin Penik, John Boy Media, 3 episodes a week. Guys, fun to do a crossover, and we'll take over your trap one day. Thanks for coming on.